I think today, it's in every engagement we have, it's the number one question. How can you help us reduce that gap between expected versus landed costs that end up on a carrier invoice? And I was talking to this guy at IBM, OMS, one of the head lead sales guys at IBM OMS. His point was his brands are saying the deviation and the gap, the cost variance between expected costs and actual costs is north of 15%. And he was also saying that in the retail industry, parcel costs in that final mile is now known to be the most expensive part of the logistic journey. It's about 10% of sales. So if you're able to move that needle on that variance, you start to add to the margin that the shippers and retailers in particulars are making when their margins are already incredibly thin. So let's suppose you could move it 1%. Well, if you're at a 3% margin and you add 1%, that's a 30% improvement. And what's so interesting is if you look at the focus in logistics platforms in general, they were never designed to deal with parcel costs. They were designed for throughput, as my previous platforms were. And so that's the mission. How do we help, whether it's e-commerce, or OMS, or WMS, adapt?
It's definitely changing, right? So there came a point where, speaking to my history as well on that side, WMS systems, tier 1 systems would have multi-carrier shipping built into the core when it all kind of like early days, to a point where they figured out this is way too much. For us, this is an application inside an application that it's probably better off that we just open it up to the ecosystem. We can still retain some capabilities. And so you always see this. Even if a WMS has a multi-carrier module, it will always be like the starter pack. And once you kind of like evolve, then you're like, hey, here are the 3, 4, 5 people you should be talking to out in the industry if you are trying to do something complex on the market. So the point has been proven on that side. Trying to do it within the application and trying to be a really good WMS that's also responsible for throughput and volume and order turn times and cycle times and all of that. And on top of that, you're also trying to figure out the best way to rate shop and figure out the best way to ship. There is the challenge of when these systems only talk about label exchanges, then that idea that we just spoke about, that order orchestration, what does the end customers need, that connection is broken.